all good. It's September the 24th, 2025, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off, right, and introduce the players. Hey, I am Jarazar, a WoW esports aficionado.
Hey guys, it's Big Moran. I am a rank 1 RP PvPer.
Everyone, it's Truce Up Jake and a rep paladin burned down my school.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, terrible.
One more reason to get nerfed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
not that I needed more.
Yes. Today we're joined by Hula Hoops and Joe Fernandez, who are here to talk about RaiderIO and the upcoming AWC tournament. But let's have them introduce themselves. So Hula Hoops, what do the people need to know about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Hula. I'm the general manager of RaiderIO, and I'm here basically just to talk about our role and what we do with the Arena World Championship, how we're really proud to be part of the community now and get more out there for PvP. Personally, I'm more of a PvE player, but I did dabble way back when in PvP, so I like to consider myself a washed-up PvP player.
So you're saying this off screen. I was going to ask though, what was the spec you were playing? What were you doing?
I was a Holy Paladin and Disc Priest.
Ooh.
When I did Arena and RBGs. So I was
nice.
And I had trouble with line of sight, so those were not good specs for me.
You know, you're in very good company because everyone in this call is a washed up PvPer. So don't worry.
Especially Joe. Kidding.
Especially Joe.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a washed up PvP myself as well compared to my glory days at least. But competed back then, did some commentary, and now I also work for RaiderIO doing the highlight reels on their page.
Nice. So we're talking, and you're well known, Joe. Just check the latest the latest shuffle memes or whatever.
Daily dose of shuffle.
Daily dose of shuffle. That's it.
Yeah.
I have. So you're saying like that's usually when you're playing with people you don't know. When you're playing with friends, they're obviously human beings, and you're very more cognizant of that. But when you're watching the AWC, do you like commentary to yourself? Like, oh my God, what an idiot! Why would they bubble then? Or do you do that, or you're like,
yeah. It is funny. Like sometimes that actually does happen. It's very rare though, I will say, because obviously at this level, I feel like they're all playing super well. So
of course,
usually, and they're much more advanced than me at this point. So if they do something that is kind of out of pocket in my reasonings, then there's probably a good reason for it. But sometimes, obviously, things can happen, and I'm just like, yeah, what are they doing? Like, why are they playing this comp? Usually is the main one, or maybe some strategies. But so sometimes I can question it. It doesn't happen too often though. Sometimes it does. But yeah, it's just funny to see how that can happen sometimes. And again, a lot of it could just be due to nerves or just the kind of tournament setting. Even though it's online, sometimes maybe they are just kind of stumped. I mean, I know a lot of times people war game over and over. They feel like they're comfortable with a matchup and they're winning a matchup, and then all of a sudden come tournament day, and then they can just all of a sudden start losing, and then they're just like, well, what do we do? And so yeah, a lot of things like that can happen, which is also fun to see.
I can help answer that a little bit because during the AWC, Joe is in comms with the rest of our coverage team. Oh. And I will sometimes pop in, but there is running commentary within the voice channel that doesn't make itself onto the coverage page that way. Not just with Joe, with the rest of the team. We've got a couple other people that are always in voice together that help Joe out with the coverage or have other roles. But there's definitely some running fun commentary that's taking place.
That sounds. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that virtual room.
Yeah, it's a fun channel to hang out in. Sometimes I'll pop in if I'm just doing other work and just hang out.
Awesome. I don't blame you. I find AWC some comps, like especially the super dampening ones, it kind of lulls you to sleep almost. But then there's other matches where it's like you put your head down and think you're going to be able to get something done, and all of a sudden somebody died like 30 seconds into a match, and it just blows you away. So I guess I want to throw to you, Hula, though, like you said, obviously RaiderIO has been doing the tournament side of the AWC for WoW Esports, and you've become that arm. I think you took it away from MDG years ago, and that. So let's talk about it. So you guys got that, and now you've been trying to build on it to really increase the coverage. So can you talk about what that was like, building the AWC into RaiderIO, which is primarily PvE, and then where you guys have gone further on that?
Absolutely. No, it's that's kind of like what we're hopefully here to talk about is when Blizzard approached us in 2023, because Game Battles was the platform used for all the tournaments, and they were sunsetting that. So they came to us because we'd already been kind of the official/unofficial host of the MDI since its inception in 2017. We hosted the Proving Grounds and the time trials and all that stuff and the leaderboards. And so they came to us when Game Battles was about to be sunset and said, hey, we need a new platform for our esports. You're already part way, stepping the foot in the door with the MDI. Can you do AWC as well? And so, we talked about it because it wasn't an easy lift. We did not have any PvP, anything on our database, nothing. So we didn't even ingest the PvP API at that point. So we had to, go back, and there was some development that needed to be done. So this was all happening in 2023, but no one saw it until 2024, end of 2023 rather. So this was happening for a few months on the back end. We were developing it, and we realized, okay, since we're doing this, one thing that we kept in mind, and this is really important, and I really hope both fans and players have been able to feel this, is that when we developed this, it was with the user experience in mind. It's our tournament platform isn't just generic tournament platform, let's throw AWC at it. It was, we built this out to cater to this esport. Cool. And we hope that that's something that people have been able to see, the check-in process, things like that. Being able to go to the brackets and see information on there that you wouldn't normally be able to see on another tournament platform, like specs and gear and stuff like that, and being able to ingest all that data. So, when they approached us and we said, yes, this is something we'd love to do, we built this out for the entire tournament platform as it currently stands. And then on the coverage side of things, we, Jaw, the owner of RaiderIO, and I spoke, and we'd been doing the actual coverage, so these highlights and reels and or highlights, updates, the live stuff for the MDI since 2021. Yeah. And I, talked to Jaw, and I said, hey, we should do this for AWC. Let's just give it a try, right? There might be a market for it. There might be people that want to get these updates. Especially since we include a lot of clips, and people just want to see the kill, right? They want to see that last 30 seconds of a match. And so we kind of gave it a try, and it was actually me doing it the first season. And as I mentioned, I'm a little washed up. So a lot of it was me just trying to understand as best I could what was happening in the current state of PvP.
No problem.
I will say that I was surprised how much of what I had learned back in Kata and MOP and Arena still applied today.
Yeah.
Little things like if you're facing off against a Resto Druid, you want to target swap a lot, right? Things like that are still they're still valid. So I would think I was able to do decent at the coverage. And then we saw some potential engagement there, and we're like, okay, this could maybe go somewhere. Let's bring in someone who actually knows what they're talking about. So one of our team members, Vitamin P, was already friends with Joe, and she's like, I know a guy. And so we brought Joe on, and I can say it is going from my coverage to Joe's coverage is definitely a step up. He knows a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I will say I remember seeing the first iterations, and you did a great job, and I personally enjoyed it because I was really busy. And I remember I wanted to follow, but I was like, oh, I don't have to watch the VOD, and it's 8 hours of VOD later on, right? And so it's trying to run through and triple time the VOD so you can get through the whole thing in time. But instead, I was like, oh, I can just follow along RaiderIO, and so that was actually really cool. So I appreciate that.
That's exactly the target audience. Is people who can't just tune in and watch the entire day. They can just catch up real quick, see what's going on. If they want to tune in, they can, and easy links to the stream, easy links to clips, stuff like that. So, and we just want to make the viewer experience better for pretty much everyone.
I will say, like, as someone who likes watching the world first or race world first, but obviously doesn't have the time to watch the entire broadcast and all these streams. It's like really nice to have that like timeline view on RaiderIO and just see the clips, like see the relevant clips. It's like, oh, Echo just had a 2% pull or something, and have that immediately pop up. It's a very nice, like from the user experience, it's like insanely nice because it is harder. Without it, you'd be searching for clips, and that'd be kind of rough, right? So nice to have everything.
Yeah, thank you. And that's the Race World First coverage was the start of our coverage generally. And then we, moved that over into the MDI. And then, of course, as I mentioned, moved it over to AWC. So, we're looking at, we know people like the coverage we're doing, but we just want to keep making it bigger and better, keep improving it, keep, providing this kind of pretty niche, coverage to the World of Warcraft community. And so we're really happy that we're able to do it for PvP now, because I will admit, while I love the MDI, I even competed in it myself. If I had to sit there and watch either MDI or AWC, I'm watching AWC.
Yes.
I will admit that in public. I love them both, but it's on record. I love them both, but I if I had to choose, I'm watching the AWC because it is so exciting.
Yeah, I do like the AWC. I think I like the Great Push better than the timed races for the MDI. I always felt that was, and it was always that awesome point where some team would be getting ahead of Echo, and then Echo would just like drop some crazy strat at the last second and pull out the extra points or whatever, and always win, which is great for them. But I'm always for the underdog, and so it's always kind of crushing. You're like, yes, the underdog's gonna.
Well, that's one reason the last few have actually been great, because mandatory has won a couple now. So it's not, I know exactly what you mean. I like going into an esport and the outcome is not already guaranteed.
Exactly.
They have to play it out because it could go either way, and that's what makes it really exciting. And I think that's one reason I've always loved the AWC is, yes, there's been powerhouse teams, obviously. There's players that you expect to at least make it to finals, but at the same time, on any given day, it's anyone's, time to win. So it really does come down to it.
What I think is so cool about PvP is like you can have like a spoiler team, which I don't think you really get in the MDI or the Great Push. Like a really good example of a spoiler team would be on EU when Big Max was playing Thug Cleave. And they would like routinely take games off of Echo, and it's like Echo was like hoping they wouldn't run into like Big Max in the bracket, because like Big Max would come out on top a lot of times, which is kind of cool. I mean, Big Max's team wasn't the team that was like going to win the tournament. I don't know if maybe they like had like a top 3 finish at some point, but it was always kind of cool. It's like, oh wow, you get this spoiler team who can knock out the big dogs. Which is always fun to see in PvP.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I don't know if you've been watching the EUC much, but it's kind of happening exactly right now. Like, Big Max is playing with Swapsy and Borg, and they've been like farming Wes on ladder. Like they recently came up with a strat, and they're just like winning every game. So like, I think it's likely. I think they had like teams before, like they were maybe going to play with different people, but now obviously that this is happening, I think they're thinking, why not play with each other, right? I mean, if you're farming Wes's team, then it's like, a good reason to form a team. So that actually could potentially happen, like this upcoming cup.
That would be like just phenomenal. I always find the first cup of a season always has that more chaotic, tumultuous, who's going to win. It's Cup 3, Cup 2. It's been weeks of practice. Everybody knows exactly, what they want to, what's the best gear, what's the best strats. They kind of have figured it all out. That said, I mean, we haven't seen any tuning yet, so we may have a little bit of a shock to everybody if there's some tuning that happens between now and the first. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm not expecting.
I've made a public promise to get Ret Paladins nerfed.
Do not shut down the Discord again. Come on.
If they don't, does that mean we have to blame you, Big? Is that it? Do we have to take to Twitter?
I guess.
To decry you? Is Skill Cap's going to lose thousands of subscribers? Like, what's going to happen? What's the consequence?
Our savior Big Moran has failed us.
Yes. Well, I'll have my RP guild take me to Nagaran Arena and execute me. That'll be the punishment.
That sounds insane.
I used to moderate the Paladin Discord, and I'm really glad I stepped down a few months ago because I did not want to be involved in that mess. Let's put it that way.
But honestly, that was only on the PvE side, the PvP side, because it was. I remember seeing when somebody said that they shut down the Discord. I was like, "What?" And then I went over there to find out what was going on. And I realized it was on the PvE side. I was like, "You're kidding me."
It's the Discord is. I mean, most of the class Discords are kind of mainline PvE, but there's like a PvP channel. So whatever the PvE rets dictate. They took, mind you, I know for a fact because the Paladin Discord is all 3 specs, right? The Holy and Prot are very large parts of it. The Holy and Prot side of things were not amused, but they obviously, they apparently got what they wanted. They got the buffs.
Well, they got some buffs there was also some nerfs, but not where PvPers would like. So speaking of Ret, let's really face that elephant in the room. Ret obviously has a bunch of utility. It pairs look great with several specs, but it feels like this season's definitely more melee favorable. Do you think we're going to see more melee comps than hybrids or caster cleave, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, Ret is kind of usually really good at melee cleaves, but typically as well they're kind of mostly good in getting into other melee cleaves. That being said, I feel like there's quite a few things that they kind of have that's still OP into casters now, and one of them is just basically they have a 20-yard range with everything, so it doesn't feel like you're really kiting them if you're away from melee range because they're still crushing you with their spells from 20 yards away, so it can be really difficult. You really have to kite, get your running boots on and just either sprint line of sight or just be 40 yards away at all times. And then one thing that I thought was interesting was that there was this PvP talent that everyone was kind of crying about last season called Hallowed Ground, and they removed it from Holy Paladins because it was so OP. But Ret Paladins kept it, so that's I've always questioned that. I've been why did they get rid of it for Holy Paladins, but why do Ret Paladins have it? And it just it's very oppressive because every time I face a Ret Paladin with that talent, they're just immune to snares in Consecrate, and then they have freedom as well. It feels like I'm wasting my time snaring them. I'm just why am I doing this? I every time they just get rid of it, I can never snare them, and it just feels like I can never slow them down. And I feel like that's maybe one reason why Ret Paladin just feels so good, even into casters, because of that range and just being unsnareable the whole game.
Yeah. Well, but I feel like that is the answer that the devs had to everybody complaining that it was a wheelchair race, right? Or a wheelchair spec. Between DKs and Paladins, it was who's the faster wheelchair? But now Ret obviously doesn't have that because, like you said, between Hallowed Ground and 20-yard range on their melee cast.
Exactly.
They're melee.
Yeah, they're the first casted melee. Next is Devourer. So do you think it's going to be mostly we're going to see melee cleave, or are we going to see mixtures? We'll probably see an RP.
I think we'll still see mixtures, because the thing is, Ret Paladin, even as good as it is, it doesn't really go too well with casters. Maybe with a Devil Warlock, just because it doesn't have Mortal Strike, which is kind of what a melee caster needs. So I still think there'll be other comps. There'll definitely be, I think, Ret Warrior and DH Ret are probably the most powerful Ret Medically versions that I've seen on the ladder. But I think that there's comps that could do well in it. I mean, I've seen RMP do pretty decent into it. Some mage lock healers like do well into it. And well, I think the comp Big Mix has been playing like their Ellie Shaman, Holy Paladin, Hunter. Like they've been doing pretty well against them as well. So I don't think it's going to be too one-dimensional with the comps. I still think we're going to see a bit of variety of the comps that I've mentioned, at least on EU. I know EU and NA typically have different metas because of just how, the top players are in different classes. So it will be interesting to contrast that, but that's kind of what I've seen on EU at least.
Very cool. I was going to ask you about Ellie Survival Hunter because weirdly enough, I've actually been playing it for a few weeks now. And then my teammate turned around to me and said, "Oh, dude, Big Mex is literally playing our comp that we play." And I was like, "Great, what's been the issue?" Like, we haven't been playing with the Holy Paladin. So, I mean, out of curiosity, I mean, this is a slightly more specified one. Totally not biased to the fact that I want to know, Joe. But do you think that kind of what makes that comp so kind of dangerous that it's kind of able to be even Echo on their sort of their favored comp?
So Holy Paladin, what it can bring just like a lot of defensive cooldowns and immunities that are like, it sounds like when you have a purge for like Bob that it could just be kind of easy, but when played well, it kind of makes classes a lot more tanky. And I think that's why it specifically has worked well with Ellie, Charm, and Paladin like throughout this expansion, because I feel like Ellie's usual weakness is that they can get trained by melee. Like usually they're so good at the casters, with sheer grounding, line of sight, instant cast. It's like casters are usually never an issue. It's just if they get zug-zugged by 2 melee, then that's where an Ellie can start to feel the pain. But Paladin giving them freedom to kite a lot in Ghost Wolf is just, they can get away from most melee, having bops and just sack and pally cooldowns to keep them alive. I think it makes it a lot more difficult to kind of zug-zug an Ellie Shaman down. So I think, it's more to do with the survival that the Holy Pally brings. And they're typically not a good target to kill either. You can try and kill them during sack windows where they take more damage or when they don't have bubble. But typically speaking, I feel like it's pretty difficult to kill a Paladin, and they just bring instant heals. Like, I think it's if when you play Templar, you just, or even the new build Herald. I think you could play either build. I'm not sure what's the most popular one yet, but you're not really casting too many heals, so it's kind of weird. You're against a Holy Pally and an Ellie Shaman, but they're barely casting, so it can feel a bit weird. You're not really able to stop much damage or healing from them unless you just have crowd control.
Yeah, because I know in the past, Paladin's always been like a really good target to swap to, especially if you can get bubble and things. So it's obviously there's an interesting factor I feel with just in general them kind of being seen that way as having less cast. Obviously you kick them if you get like a 5-second lockout. Sometimes things just blow up nowadays. So it's an interesting kind of viewpoint that of the kind of how that synergy of that comp seems to work so well. Even though I probably would never have picked that up at any time outside of this season.
Yeah, it is an interesting comp. I feel like that's something, honestly, NA has usually had over EU, is that I feel like they have more Holy Paladins. I feel like the Holy Paladins on NA have typically been more and better. There are definitely some good ones in EU. I mean, Borg to showcase since he's playing it super well and been playing it, he's playing it with Big Mex and Swapsy right now. It is a bit weird though, because it's just like, I don't know what it is, but sometimes it just feels like Holy Paladins just don't have healing. Like there comes a time where they either have to use too many offensive cooldowns or defensive cooldowns, sorry, to keep up their team, or they're just kind of dying passively. Like the enemy team has too much pressure for their passive healing to deal with it, and it could be very weird. But I feel like the really good Holy Paladins, they just have a way of mastering their cooldowns, like rotating them super well to just keep people alive for 5 to 10 minute games, and then it just buys their team time to eventually kind of attrition, like win on damage and win by surviving.
So you're saying I should pick it back up.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a good time. This is a good time for me.
This is your second win. This is your second win arc there, Hula.
This is my comeback.
Your comeback moment. Yep.
Yeah, you'll see me in the AWC next cup. There we go.
Yeah. Look forward.
Can be.
Yeah.
No,
You can be, can't you?
no, yeah, I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to compete.
Oh dear.
That's the only reason that I'm not doing it. Because I'm just it would be too unfair otherwise.
It'd be,
We're looking out for everybody else.
It'd be a clean sweep, throughout the bracket.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even close.
We got to maintain the integrity of the competition. So I will sit back, and it's also why I'm not the MDI anymore. It would just be too unfair.
Well,
mostly because I learned the dungeons and affixes ahead of time, so that would be definitely unfair.
That would definitely be. Yeah. We actually need their Hulas to quit the RaiderIO, and then you can go for the trifecta and do the Race to World first, the MDI Championship, and the AWC Championship.
Maybe 20 years ago. All right. When I say washed up, I also mean old.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, maybe 20 years ago. Not certainly not anymore.
Too funny.
I mean, I just raid like heroic casual AOTC now. Well, actually, my guild got AOTC last night.
Oh, congratulations!
Shout out Dayglow. So we got that finally. Dimensions went down. I know this is a PvP podcast, but Metaforge Omega is super fun. Really? I don't know if you guys are raiding at all, but that raid is fun.
No.
Really great boss design.
I raided last year, but this year I switched back over to doing mainly PvP. I only have enough time in the week to do one or the other, and I really miss PvP, so switched back to trying to get that. And then I
should have done it the other way. This raid's way more fun.
Undermine was really fun though. Like I really enjoyed that.
Undermine wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was good.
I liked Undermine.
And back to PvP. So
sorry.
No worries.
to derail things there.
Don't be.
Yeah, we just got.
That's the thing. That this game is for everybody. You got PvP battles, you got RP battles, you got PvP, PvE, world PvP. Yeah. Seriously, there's pet battle tournaments. It's like
there are.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Back to AWC though. We talked a lot about paladins, obviously between Ret and Holy. Holy does have its strengths, but I was kind of the impression that Resto Shaman was definitely on the higher, like that's like super S tier, right? So are we going to see?
Yeah.
Are we going to see 1, 2, 8 shamans, or are we going to see a mixture between? Because Holy Priest is also strong, I think. Disc,
yeah,
I think Disc has that problem with short period of time before they run out of juice, though. But anyway, sorry, I'll stop talking. Go, Joe.
No worries. No, yeah, you are right. Like, I mean, I don't think it will be a one-sided affair of the healers, but Resto Shamans have their place. Holy Priests do. Voidweaver Disc is an interesting one because it's kind of like they are, if they can just sit back, free cast, and not be interrupted, they are actually the best healer in the game because, and even for longevity, it's actually the opposite. They'll be super mana efficient because they're just healing with Atonement throughout the whole game, and all their damage spells just don't really cost any mana. So in that sense, they are actually the most OP healer, and a lot of people have been, we basically have been crying about the meta a little bit because Fistweaver was so oppressive with healing in 2v2 specifically, and now it just feels like they got rid of one and replaced it with another, with Disc Voidweaver being like very oppressive in 2s. But yeah, in 3s, the problem is that people are just playing around it a lot. They either crowd control them heavily or interrupt their casts a lot, even line of sight in them heavily just to make sure that they can't get their pressure off, because the main issue with Voidweaver Disc is if you're not healing with Atonement, then you're not healing at all. Like your heals, you can do good power shields with penance, but then that's it. Like you won't be able to just sit there, flash heal, and do your natural healing rotation that you would think. It's just like their heals just completely go down the gutters. So that's basically the secret of Voidweaver, which, against certain comps, again, which is where I think like hunters and mages, like these kind of CC comps can shine, because if they just get heavy CC on a Disc Priest, they drop a DPS low. It's very hard for a Voidweaver to kind of pick themselves back up. Like all of their cooldowns are damage reduction, most of them, and it's just very hard for them to like heal them back up unless they cast a lot. So I think for that reason, a lot of people are playing Holy Priest to kind of just where, you know, it's basically the opposite. They won't have any damage. They're still pretty mana efficient, but not as much. But then they just have the safety net of the heals. Like they have safety net of the cooldowns as well. I believe they get, you know, Guardian Spirit, and then I forgot what that cooldown's called. The Ray of Hope. That's it. There's too many cooldowns in my brain. But yeah, so they have like those kind of 2 life-saving cooldowns as well, which means that if someone drops and they get out of CC, they can just save you, like, pretty much. So yeah, Holy Priest is kind of the substitute for like when Void Weaver Disc isn't doing well. So I think we might see more priests than shamans. That being said, Resto Shamans are still very good. I think they can do well in double melee comps and in some melee caster cleaves as well. And then the other healer that I think could be at the forefront is maybe Evokers, because Evokers kind of, like in the hands of a really good Evoker, they can kind of have it all as well. Like they do a ton of healing, and their pressure, I think with the new 4 set, is kind of crazy if they can kind of sit there and do that. I would love to see, at least on the EU side, I know Kankito, he plays Dragon like insanely. Like he was on the team with Corky and Coffee, and they were like, they made it to the finals a season ago. They had that, not last season, but the season before. But yeah, his Dragon always impresses me. I feel like his Dragon has been absurd. So if we could see something like that to shake up the healers, and, you know, seeing a lot of different classes in general is kind of what I think makes AWC better to watch as well.
I think it's interesting how we had like a Holy Paladin meta last season, like especially like in the NA AWC, where Holy Paladin is kind of like this more defensive healer, doesn't really do much damage. But now it's like the meta is like dominated by these healers that just do crazy numbers, like on the damage meters. Like Void Weaver Disc Priest can compete on damage with like an actual DPS, and so can Preservation Evokers, because they have a really insane 4 set this season. And yeah, Void Weaver got all these buffs recently, so it's kind of like cool that we're in this new healer meta that I don't think we've seen in a while, where it's like you have these crazy offensive healers, which you typically don't see at this stage of the expansion. You know, rest in peace, Fistweaver Monk. Like they got obliterated by a 50% nerf. But the other healers are kind of cooking right now. I mean, I know that we haven't mentioned Resto Druid. You know, my main. I think Dex might make an appearance on EU for the AWC. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think Resto Druid right now, it's not the best healer, but it has pretty good comps, right? Like you have LEDH as Resto Druid, which is pretty. That seems like a pretty stable comp to bring to a tournament.
I don't think we're going to see Resto though, because I don't think they have last season's tier set on the vendors on TR.
I can go on a whole rant about like that is some weird stuff. Like I don't know. Like Danny Carey is like some wizard, you know, who lives in a cave. I don't know how, like, what he's doing. Like, but yeah, I think even if you're using this season's tier set, Resto Druid is okay. It just like needs a pretty good comp, I think. You know, it's not as dominant as it's been in previous iterations of the game, with all these offensive healers. So
yeah, well, it feels like.
Sorry,
you go.
No, you're the expert.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like Druid, this expansion, I felt it more than any other expansion, where it's like, I feel like your strength in an arena game, this includes like Boomkin and Feral as well, like, is your ability to cyclone. It's like, if you can fake everyone and just cyclone everything, then like you're golden. Like all of a sudden you have all this crowd control, and you can create setups, and you can find win conditions, or you can just like survive a lot easier, right? You can just cyclone their whole setup and they don't do anything. So, but then teams have become really good at denying that. And then also things like Shaman that can grounding tome if they activate Precock, or Warriors can reflect. I feel like if you can't get a lot of cyclones, then usually it's rough, but maybe Resto Druid, like you said, is a bit easier for that because you may not need to look for cyclones too much, but I feel like that is kind of the case. Like it feels like if you don't get a cyclone the whole game, then you might as well bring another healer, like you say, that could just do damage instead.
Whenever we would watch CD's team, we was always like, okay, how many cyclones is Sam gonna get? Oh, 8,000? Okay. It felt like, I think that was one of the things that impresses me about Sam the most is it feels like he's just casting Cyclone over and over and over again, and yet he's still doing a lot of damage at the same time. So somehow he's able to do both of these things, but it was always an interesting thing because I was like, I know what I'm watching, and I've come from a healer perspective, and Holy Paladins, yes, I would come in and try to hodge or wrap and stuff like that, but I'm just like, if I had to sit there and spam my CC, that would be so boring.
It's kind of interesting because like the two specs that have insane synergy are Preservation Evoker and Balanced Druid, and the Boomkin is just there so the Pres Evoker doesn't get kicked. Like the Boomkin just stands still, casting clones. It gets kicked. Okay, it doesn't matter because now the Evoker gets to cast. And Evoker is this weird healer where, like, it does the most insane HPS in the game if it's allowed to just like stand there and heal. Like, there's no other healer that can come close to its healing output, or like damage, like sustained damage output. Maybe like Void Reaver, Disc Priest, but. It has that weird synergy. Like the Boomkin is just like a pinata. Like it gets bullied all game. It's like gets hit, and then the Pres Evoker is just like blasting in the background. And we've kind of seen this like theme with specifically Evokers in this expansion. Like they typically like to pair up with things that can just like soak kicks for them. Because if something else is getting kicked, the Evoker is just like owning. Like the Evoker is like a god tier class. So it's once they get CC'd and they can't heal. Then they become bad. But if you have Sam Am there, just spam getting kicked on clone or just landing clones, it's so good. Like that Preservation Evoker is insane.
Oh, yeah.
And CD does play a pretty good Pres.
He does.
Yeah,
he does.
I assume we'll see that quite a lot from them this cup.
I was kind of expecting to see him on Resto Shaman just because that's like his old faithful. So
I know
they could play.
He probably is one of the healers that swaps like the most. Did you say, Joe?
Yeah, I feel like
more multi-classing healers out there.
Yeah, I mean, he is though for Shah for sure. Like been his main for so long in the past, but now he multi-classes really well, and I think now it's actually kind of suiting him. Like you said, Boomkin, Pres Evoker with Sam I Am, but they also do have like and I think in EU, like Lonta's been playing a lot of Charm and DKDH, and I know Sidu's team would have access to that. They have Mez on DK, so Trill on DH. That could be, and I mean, they brought that out at Gamescom, right? So and they did really well with that.
I got to talk to Trill during the Race World First while Gamescom was happening, and I remember asking him like, so. It kind of sucks that the timing was at the same time, and he just looked at me. He's like, "I don't want to talk about it." he was really upset he didn't get to do both, and that he had to obviously go with the one he's contracted to. Yeah. I mean, they ended up winning, so that helps. But the Race World First, but I know he was pretty upset. And it is unfortunate timing because he's watching his team play without him. But he's
always done that. Like, that's happened so many times where he's been.
It's so often.
It's always the Cup 1 blues for Trill. The downside of being Mr. World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I asked him about that name once, and it was given to him. Yes, he did not proclaim himself Mr. World of Warcraft. Luckily, I don't think anyone should actually just proclaim themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you're doing that, then there's something really wrong.
You need an ego check if you're calling yourself Mr. World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I think so. Not even the developers, I think, can call themselves that. I feel like they're
at least not in public.
What I heard is that Ian has a Cohosts, took a server blade and knighted Trill and called him Mr. World of Warcraft, like that. It was an official ceremony.
Yeah. I dubbed thee Mr. World of Warcraft. Although I bet some of the devs probably do, like, that's their morning affirmations in their mirror. All right, let's go. We're gonna have a great day, Mr. and or Mrs. World of Warcraft. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I would actually be interested. So I remember when we talked to Brian Holinka there, he was saying how the great thing about the Blizzard team and the World of Warcraft team is just how many people at Blizzard actually play the game versus a lot of other devs, a lot of other game studios. The people will develop it, but then they're not playing the same game. So I think that's one thing that a lot of people seem to forget is that the people that are making this game are also playing it and seeing a lot of the same things that we're seeing, or if they're seeing it, they're not seeing it in the same light that we are, such that there has to be, the outcry of demand of change isn't quite felt as deeply by the dev or the designer. So, I don't know.
Well, there's that running joke on the PvE side of things that a boss gets nerfed as soon as Ian's raid gets to it. And it was okay. I know it's a running joke because there was like a period of time where multiple tiers in a row it happened, and I'm not saying the timing is because of that, but it just naturally happened that once his raid got to a certain boss on progression, suddenly that boss got a little bit of a nerf.
So what you're saying is we need Ian to actually PvP.
Yes, get him in there. Get him in the shuffle. He can feel the rage that Joe feels in shuffle. I'm kidding. Joe doesn't rage. Joe is a non-rage warrior over here. He uses a different resource bar.
Calm, I think it's called or something.
Yeah, calm. I don't think that's gonna work very well.
Yeah, sort of. I don't know. Was I kind of caressing them to death? Like, you're not sure how that would work. Some sort of strange ability. Yeah, hug them to death.
Yeah, it's not hamstring.
It's a charge you
tickle.
skip. Yeah.
Okay, we need to make a new class or a new warrior spec. Calm warrior.
You can call it like Uber class or something. I don't know. It might fit in Big's RP PvP goal.
There you go. It's a reformed warrior that skips instead of charges.
Oh my god,
I love it.
I'm at a loss.
Yeah,
I'm at a loss.
It's gonna be great. I'm really excited for this upcoming season. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Joe, of course, will be there watching every single minute of every single game with our team, making sure everyone knows what's going on, what's happening. I also just want to give a quick shout out to the rest of the coverage team because it's not Joe alone.
Yes, please.
Pico is always there helping out with. She's actually all the clips and screenshots and all the information. Her and Arastavad are helping Joe with. One thing we learned very early on, and what I learned the first tier that I did the coverage, is the AWC moves very quickly. And doing MDI coverage, Raceful First coverage, as you've got people helping and stuff like that. But normally you have time to write up a post, grab a screenshot, upload it, put that in. Not with AWC. Nope. You're writing about something happening in the game. Oh, it's over. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, they died. Oh, it started. Oh no, it's so fast. Yeah. So having the other people there to help is incredible.
I agree that's the case now, but anyone who experienced Cloud9 during BFA knows that
you had some time.
you could watch the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy before like a single series ended. Like those were painfully long games.
Oh no,
it's crazy.
Wait, extended editions though, right?
Yes.
We don't watch the regular ones.
No.
And then there's also Marv, who is the person who runs our brackets.
Oh.
So for people might not know how our brackets work on the site. So the brackets are held on RaiderIO for the AWC, and they're actually live updated. So Marv is watching every single game, and as soon as the game starts or ends, he puts in the timestamp. He's got the classes, their specs, and he uploads all the data for their gear, their talent, loadouts, everything like that, as well as a timestamp of the actual VOD. So all that stuff is uploaded literally on the fly as it's happening. So you can go to the bracket in the middle of a match, and it will show like match in progress, and all the information's there. So you can actually go click and see exactly what spec this player is playing, what gear they're using. You can even copy paste the talent loadout and put it right in game and use it right then and there. You can see everything there they're using, mouse over tooltips, the whole 9 yards, and that's actually like literally live on the fly.
That's amazing. Yeah. And a lot of work.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of pushing time here, but there's one question in chat that is really actually, I think, pertinent. Is is it confusing for the writers when the teams are changing rosters all the time?
So I'll say yes.
For me, it's not really too bad because we would always do, like I said, like, when I'm writing about the highlights, that would always be one highlight, right? When it comes to the team change, like the new map, like what maps people choose, because it is kind of a pivotal point of the game. Like obviously, when teams are just playing the same comp over and over, then a bit less so. But it's actually quite a big thing, and it can be a bit of a mind game. From what I've learned, like when they're choosing certain maps, that could maybe make them change comps. But yeah, it's not really too confusing for me. I mean, they're just gonna either change comps. It comes up on the site, and then I see, oh, they're bringing in this comp, and then I kind of just visualize what would be the reason. And obviously, most of the time, it's kind of their counter comp pick. So maybe they're just, they have a counter comp in the back of their hand and they could just win with this or have a much easier time to win. Other times it could just be, say, I know Echo do this a lot. I know that ZPie has been popular, where they kind of use the map pick against the enemy team. So for instance, they'll pick, say, I don't know, ZPie's been playing a melee cleaver, then the enemy team would have to pick a map. They go to Tolvir and then they swap a comp, and then you're just thinking, oh, well, they just won, right? But now they're changing comp. But the reason is just because of the map pick. So they just see Tolvir on, they know, oh, if we play a melee cleave here into a wizard cleave, then, it's not going to look well. So we'll just lock in a wizard cleave. They can't really lock in their counter comp that they wanted to play now because they'll be on a bad map. So, it's pretty straightforward for me. Like, it's just interesting to see when it happens, because obviously most of the time I can get a good visual of why they would swap a comp, but then sometimes they just swap a comp, and again I'm just like, oh, like this is interesting, and then I like to see how that plays out, because even I don't know, I'm just like thinking, oh, I never would expect this comp for them. Even sometimes you see it from the casters as well, like they're just like, oh, like they're picking this comp, so that could be the confusing part of it. But at the end of the time, like, these players, they've wargamed a lot. We're only seeing a fraction of them playing compared to how much they've actually played and practiced. Yeah. So they won't just really pick a comp for a random reason. I feel like 99% of the time they've came in prepared. They know what comps they want to play beforehand. And then that 1% of the time where, again, maybe just on the day they're not feeling it and they're just like, okay, we have to throw a curveball. Let's just go with this.
Or when their healer gets banned.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I gotta say, those games were ridiculous, but they were fun to watch.
They were. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think I misspoke a little bit though. The question was more, I think, when the team changes rosters. So like when players hop teams.
Oh, right.
So like obviously Echo, now Dire Wolves, I think Welcome to the Jung, those are some pretty solid. The Move, well, now they disbanded, but there's some pretty solid teams there. But then there's other teams where people were like, each cup there were a different team name, right? So
sorry, you go.
I was gonna say there's also this like tendency of some of these teams to like kind of keep their roster a secret. Like there's some of these players don't want anyone else to know who's on their roster, which is, I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's some of the information is a bit obscured until the last minute, right?
True.
Yeah. As a writer, like, I think the confusion isn't too bad with me because I kind of know beforehand, like, but that's just my own thing. Like, I love looking at who's signing up, like which new teams we have. Because usually there's a lot of changes, right? Like typically teams that are winning or doing as well as they would like, they're kind of staying with the same rosters, but you see a lot of rosters happening all the time. A lot of roster comps, so roster changes. So I see that before of time, like before the tournaments kind of start, see that in the group stages as well, like before it's broadcasted, like which teams are doing well and qualify and what they've kind of been playing. So for me, it's not confusing, but I can see as a viewer, like especially if you only watch the weekend games, how it could be confusing. Like all of a sudden you see players that used to fight each other and are with each other, or players are just not together anymore. I feel like that could be confusing at first, and it can be hard to kind of keep seeing how it's going unless you're actively watching. And again, especially with all the team names changes and stuff like that, it can be a bit confusing as a viewer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because the way we set up our system, we did it a little different than game battles because we wanted historical data on the site. So we want it so when you go to a team, you can see everything they've done before.
Yeah.
And teams weren't really used to that. So they would and we also created the registration system so that once you have a team created, it's its own entity on the website. It's not just only tied to like the one event.
Yep.
So you can take that team and sign up for another one. And that was kind of always the goal, that they just use the same team entity and just keep registering. Well, the teams didn't realize that right away. We kind of had to teach them that. So they would just make a brand new team. They would just like get rid of them. Like, no, please stop. So we'd have to keep there was every season, there's a lot of stuff on the back end where this team needs a rename. This team needs a rename. Can you move this person over here?
Yep.
And so we have to do a lot of this stuff. But they're starting to catch on of how it's intended to work. To be able to maintain that historical data. Because one thing that's great is if you go to a team that's been doing it properly, you go to the team page and you can see every tournament they've actually competed in.
Yeah.
And so you can see like what they've done, and you can see the rosters for each time they've been on that, and you can go back to the old brackets and see exactly what they did. So being able to maintain that historical data is really important to us. So please, teams, just re-register. And if you need to make a new roster, just remove players. Please.
Please, for the love of God.
Or just ask us, we'll do it for you.
Yes.
Please.
So just wrapping up, is there anything, are we going to see something new this season? Because I mean, is it, you keep building on the commentary, the quick shots, the links, the VODs and all that. Are we going to see something new this year, or is it, I hate to say that, just the same, but because what you're doing is fantastic, but is it going to be just the same?
Well, we do want to expand our offerings to the PvP community at large. And that means more stuff on the website generally for PvP across the board. And this is actually a great opportunity. This is my question to you guys as well as the PvP community itself. What would you like to be available? Obviously we don't want to put a bunch of time and resources into something that people don't care about. So let's put this, hop over into Twitter, just give us an @RaiderIO_wow. Let us know what you'd like to see. We would love to know, do you want bracket information? Do you want ladders? Do you want PvP scores on character profiles? Do you want to see PvP loadouts? What exactly they're using in a certain arena with a certain comp, that kind of information. We have the insights and standings, which is kind of like our stats page, but it's only for AWC. So maybe we do something for the entire ladder on live, things like that. So we'd love to get feedback on what you guys would like to see.
Ooh, that's a challenge. All right.
Wait, I have an answer to that question.
Yes.
Actually.
Is it everything?
So I used to love when the AWC would put those little player profiles on screen and be like, Chanimal win rate, it's like 77%, interrupt rate, like 58%. Like that sort of stuff was pretty cool. I like specifically the interrupt rate was always pretty interesting. Like that sort of stuff, I think is seeing that like player data is always really cool. But I think that would be something that you'd need to probably coordinate with Blizzard on, because I think they track that. It'd be hard unless you have the combat log to track that yourself, unless you're sitting there and counting kicks.
We do get the combat log, so that's how we track a lot of the information, because we have I lied. We have it for MDI. Because we have the observers on the MDI run the RaiderIO client, the app, so we get live tracked combat data. We don't do it for PvP because the PvP observer app / client that they use is different from MDI. So we don't actually get all that information. We want it. We want it badly. So hopefully down the road we will actually get access to the data, so we can do a lot more in terms of information, especially that stuff, like as I mentioned, like live track, show it right away after a match. So that information would be phenomenal on our end. But yeah, I'm actually going to write that down as soon as we're done talking. Something that you want to see. I too really like seeing that information after a match. See who's kicking, who's CC percentage, or who's breaking CCs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's always a good one. Joe,
but
what was your interrupt rate?
Oh yeah, mine's
mine,
high right now for Joe.
Mine is actually shockingly bad. Like I'm one of those. We have a term in PvP called a precog gifter, because there's a gem where if you get faked or you don't interrupt well, then you give them precog and they're immune to see. So I'm one of those guys. It's actually one of my worst feats as a PvPer. Yeah, and I just know what's happening. I just go in. I'm gonna try and kick the first cast. I get faked, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? Like, they're just looking for it. They just know, like, okay, I'm against the precog gifter. I'm gonna just fake until he kicks me, and then and then I can cast. So I'm actually shockingly bad at it. But it is funny because I feel like, I mean, I might get put on blast on this, but I feel like someone that is also a bit of a precog gifter can be Waz sometimes, but it's like his only weakness. Like sometimes, like when I see him play on ladder, like he misses his kicks. Like, I'm like, I'm like, he's missing his kicks like crazy this game. But obviously, he does other stuff that no one else can do, which allows them to win. So it's kind of a nice backup to have. But it is funny how that works and how nowadays, because of precog being immune if you do fake a kick, how much more important that is now, which I do think is nice for the game. I just wish that there was like a melee equivalent for the gem, because all the melee get is like a 5% damage reduction every 30 seconds if you get CC'd, which doesn't actually work in a lot of CCs for whatever reason. I don't know why, but so yeah, like casters get this fun, if you fake, you can kind of get rewarded. So it would be nice to see, like, if a melee interrupts something, maybe they can get rewarded, but I don't know. It's just a random thought.
You guys get enough.
Yeah.
I do want to say for our coverage generally, we're always looking to make it better. If you have enjoyed Joe's insight on, I think he's over here. I don't know which way you are. If you've been I gotta say, bringing Joe on to be the person doing the coverage, it's basically asking him these questions as the entire event's going on, and you get this insight, you get this experience and this knowledge telling you what's happening on the fly in the games, and he adds his analysis to it, his thoughts and stuff like that behind what we're seeing. So if you like listening to this guy talk, or his experience and his information and his knowledge, definitely check out the coverage on RaiderIO, because he's the guy. It's him.
I love it. I do want to, I know we're kind of wrapping this up to the end of time. We always like to end the show with one thing you would change. So generally we keen to keep it just PvP-ish, but since we've been talking all about our AWC, let's do what's the one thing you would change about AWC? And I want to throw it to Jake first, actually, because he's been super quiet.
Yeah, I've been waiting for a moment to jump in. I don't want to cause too much. I mean, you can only have like one British voice at one time, right? Because otherwise, the world explodes, right? One thing I changed at AWC. It's so difficult because I feel like it's such a poignant question that we've kind of touched on a bit. I'm going to probably steal Big's answer on this one, because I think the player profiles for me also was fantastic. So if I was to change one thing about it, actually, no, I'm going to lie. I'm going to completely scrap that one. The one thing I would change is I would like to see bans for specific comps.
Oh,
that's the thing I'd love to see. Like, if you, let's say if Waz's team comes in with RMP, the losing team gets to choose to ban a comp or something along those lines.
Okay.
I would like to see. That'd be quite cool. I find that more interesting sometimes.
I like it. Yeah. Joe, you seemed like you had one on the tip of your tongue.
I did, because I think it's been there for a while, and maybe more of a general thing. And I don't know. I've grown skeptical that it would happen, but I would love to just see more LAN events. I feel like AWC LAN events, they're like, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have been playing through them and seeing them in like unfold. and it's just so fun. Like, there's nothing better as a player to experience a LAN event. Obviously, the only thing that really sucks is just if you know, obviously when you're trying, you put in months of practice, like pretty much a full-time job playing, and then when you lose, like obviously that, you know, the sting of that really hurts. But outside of that, the LAN events are just so fun. It's so nice to see players just in real life playing and seeing it on the screen as well, even on Twitch, like when you're at home as a viewer, seeing them come into this event, playing it out. I feel like it's just so hype. Like, it's hype as it is, you know, just watching it at home. It's like even more hype seeing it at a LAN event, in my opinion.
I totally agree. I mean, the first one I went to, the first BlizzCon, I threw my voice out and I couldn't speak for almost a week afterwards. All right. Big, how about you?
I don't know if I've given this answer before, but I'd like to see more solo shuffle tournaments in the AWC. You know, I think it was kind of cool that with the MDI, you know, you had the MDI and Great Push. I think it's only in the Great Push now. But I always, you know, I think having a different tournament format would be really important for the AWC, especially since solo shuffle is really popular. I think it's overwhelmingly the most popular arena bracket right now. And I think the two or three solo shuffle tournaments Blizzard has done have been like really entertaining. And also, I think the cool thing about solo shuffle is you get kind of, you know, you're not necessarily rooting for a team, you're rooting for a player, which is, I think, kind of in some ways more fun than rooting for a team. So yeah, more official solo shuffle tournaments is what I'd like to see.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, to tie into that as well, like, I was in one of those solo shuffle tours and it was like super fun. Obviously, I played Fury Warrior and Shadowlands, so very zug, like very easy for me to play, very OP. But aside from that, the tournament, it was just super fun to watch and see it unfold. Obviously, it could be very chaotic with how the brackets are, but I kind of agree. I feel like in between of the AWCs, if there was just kind of these like mini solo shuffle tournaments, I think it would be great.
Well, you know, RaiderIO can make brackets for any kind of tournament. So if anyone wants to host these, just let us know. We can help you out. Right. I was gonna say lands. So Joel stole mine. Thanks, Joe. I was there in 2019, the last time we had the AWC like actual competition at LAN, and I was in the front row. And every single matchup, went back and made a new sign for a player on a team, and every time that team lost. So I apologize to everyone that I made a sign for, because you guys ended up losing. But that was so much fun to watch that. So yes, my original answer was bring back lands. But since Joe stole that, my answer will be 5. 5. That was my favorite bracket when I did arena. I love
5v5. Nice. 5v5
chaos. It was. I want 5s. That's what I want in AWC. I want a 5v5 bracket. I used to play.
Oh, sorry.
I used to play. We called it RBG comp.
Yep.
Because we had a Moonkin, a DK, a mage, a Holy Paladin, and a Resto Shaman. And so basically we charged in, did the mass grip, beam, root, and if someone didn't die within the beam, we were doing it wrong. But that was my favorite comp, and I liked it because quick games, it's chaos, it's fun, it's nuts, and it was a lot of I want 5s. I want to watch 5s.
Well, that's awesome. My favorite memory, and also I have PTSD from it, is me and some guildies deciding we're going to do 5s, and we queued up into 5 paladins. And I'm pretty sure they were all holy, because we couldn't kill them.
Was that me? Because I think I've done that.
Maybe. I don't remember.
I have a quick 5v5 story. Speaking of holy paladins,
okay.
Remember that achievement, Last Man Standing, and it was you needed to have one person get the killing blow. Well, no, someone on our team was a holy paladin, and this is like during Kata, and they wanted that achievement, and. So we all left the arena, and it was just the holy paladin. there, but it took like 40 minutes. Like it was insane because Holy Pals like did no damage. I don't remember what expansion it was, but they did like no damage. It was like painful. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna come back later.
I gave up trying to get that on my paladin with my team. I gave up because it wasn't happening. But I think that's the one arena achievement I never got was Last Man Standing.
That's a hard one. Away. That's a hard one.
That was rough. But
I will say
five was a lot of fun.
I will say quickly, I do disagree with you, Big. I don't think Solo Shuffle would be the primo next AWC. I think it should be BG Blitz. I want to see. Yeah.
Wait. What about that meme? Like, how about both? Okay. Like,
why not both?
We'll have to call up Heliostat and see what he'll do. Yeah. Sorry. What's that, Hila?
And I just think they should just bring multiple different formats. Just try things out instead of, keep the 3v3 as the premier, because obviously it, when you boil it down, that kind of is the pinnacle of skill, teamwork, all this good stuff, compositions and strategy. But generally speaking, I think the other formats are just fun, exciting. They can just make people more excited for when the 3v3 tournament comes out. So
I honestly
get more new names, new teams. Sorry,
no, totally. I'm just biased. I think battlegrounds are just much more viewable than arena. So that's my own personal bias, though. All right, shoutouts. Quick round of shoutouts. If you don't have a shoutout, that's fine. But I guess we'll kind of go reverse. Hula, do you have anybody you want to shout out?
Joe. I want to shout out Joe. No, Joe's been doing fantastic, and just everyone on the events and coverage team, Pico, Erasabeth, Kat, Marv, our dev team who put a lot of effort into creating the platform as it is. Everyone that's kind of been involved in making our coverage what it is and really helping that. And shout out to just the community generally for, watching, for reading, for, cheering us on and, again, feedback. Let us know what you guys want, please.
Always feedback is important. Big, do you have anybody you want to shout out?
I will shout out the Divine Inquisition for giving me a promotion. That's my RP PvP guild. And actually, I got a promotion because of this podcast. So someone was listening to me talk about RP PvP last time, and they actually joined our guild. And so we had a quest in our guild last week to walk the path of mercy or the path of retribution. Okay, and the path of mercy was to recruit one member. And so I accidentally recruited one member to our RP PvP guild. And I got promoted. So shout out to my guild.
This is just a happy little accident. That's awesome. Congratulations on the promotion, bud. Joe, any shout outs for you?
Well, I'll shout out to you guys for bringing me on as well. Like, it's always fun to talk here, so I appreciate it. And also to RaiderIO, like the fact that they reached out to me and trusted me to do their highlight reels. Like at first I was a bit overwhelmed because I had to learn about like coding again and doing kind of, things in real time, but they made it very easy for me to transition. I think on my third day I settled in fine. And yeah, shout out to everyone that helps me do my job as well, makes it a lot easier. Like Hula said, without Pico or Marv helping me as I go on, and anyone else who's clip gathering, like it would be very difficult for me to do what I do. So I appreciate it's fun working with them as well, and it makes it a blast to just watch the AWC and work on it at the same time.
That's awesome. I wish I could get paid to watch AWC. but the rest of that sounds like too much work, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you gotta work all the time.
Yeah. Jake, how about you? Any shout outs?
Yeah, just going to shout out the guys that have, for the last 799 days, been liking and retweeting my tweet at the devs to make it.
Yeah, I see that. I can't. So you're on 799 days. So tomorrow's 800.
Hey, tomorrow's 800. Yeah. So shout out to you as well, Joe, because you like it every now and then.
Yeah, I think I do like the yearly up. Like you got like 2 years. I think I like that one. Yeah, I see it all the time on Twitter. Yeah.
Every little helps, I hate to quote Asda or Tesco or whatever it is, but yeah.
I can't believe it's going to be 800 tomorrow. Wow.
Devastating. Man. Anyway, let's move on before I cry.
Well, I want to shout out a little bit of a round circle hug here, but thank you so much, Hula, for reaching out and suggesting that we get together and do this, because I love AWC. I love everything you guys have been doing, and just happy to have you guys on, talk about what RaiderIO is doing in the past and now into the future, and happy to hear if anybody wants to do a community tournament and they need some support, it sounds like RaiderIO is there to help, which is awesome.
Yeah, just send me a message. We can help you out. All right.
So in that case, yes, Hula, where can people find you then?
At RaiderIO. I don't really do my own content much anymore. My Twitter is at Hula with a Y, because at Hula Hoops was taken. And my Twitch is the same, but I don't stream. So those days are well over. Otherwise, just the RaiderIO socials. You can reach out to me there or in our Discord. But generally speaking, I'm mostly on Twitter myself.
Understood.
But yeah, at Hula Hoopsy with a Y.
Hoopsy with a Y. Love it.
Yeah.
And Joe, where can people find you if you're not yelling at your computer screen on Twitch?
Well, yeah, if you want to see me yell at my computer screen, then I'll be on Twitch, Joe Fernandez 123. So that's fine. Or you can find me on Twitter as well, same handle, I believe, where I just post cooking pictures, to be honest, not really WoW stuff. And then obviously in the coming weeks, though, on the weekend, you'll find me on RaiderIO posting the new highlights. So if you watch AWC and you want to see the highlights, then I'll be there showing you what's going on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, and those, you can find those, by the way, at rio.gg/AWC highlights. And AWC is all caps, and it is case sensitive. So rio.gg/AWC highlights, or you can just go to raider.io/tournaments and navigate through the event page to get there.
Good. Thank you so much. And I know I'll be definitely perusing the highlights, because not gonna lie, AWC is a little too fast for me to track sometimes, so I need to go back and see, oh, that's what they did. Thanks, Joe.
Right.
But
no worries.
Big, can you start listing off where everybody can find us?
Yes, I can. You can contact us directly on X or Twitter at technically_PvP, or on Blue Sky at technicallypvp.bsky.social, or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Productions Discord.
And you can visit the Bonus Roll Production website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so head on over there and tell everyone what you think about your favorite shows.
Indeed. And links for everything we talked about, well, really it's going to be RaiderIO, is going to be in the show notes, just to help everybody navigate that. And I want to thank everyone for listening. Good night, everybody.
Good night.